All right, so Phil Lowe's comments on productivity, in no way should we see that as a shot at you or your government then?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, Phil's made these points, I think, pretty regularly over recent years, over the span of governments of both political persuasions. And frankly, he's earned the right to make his views known, whether it be at these international forums or indeed back home in Australia. And the thing that it would be good if your viewers would understand, Andrew, is I spoke just before Phil about a lot of the same things. And the point that we were making is that we need to have the capacity as we deal with this primary challenge in our economy, which is inflation. We also need to be laying the foundations for a more productive economy after that. And from the government's point of view, that means the energy transformation, it means adapting and adopting technology, and it means getting human capital right, getting our labour markets right. And so a lot of what Phil said in his contribution is very closely aligned with the contribution that I made just before he spoke. And also some of the points that he made are very familiar to us. He's been making those points for some time.
Okay, so he said this, he said, another reality we face is the challenge is a political one. It's not about not knowing what to do, it's a political one, and the political challenge is to get these good ideas out that are already out there through our political systems. And if we don't do that, we have citizens with have slower growth in real wages, smaller public services, and an increased tension on income distribution. What sort of reforms do you think Phil Lowe is after that might be politically difficult? Well,
I think the point that he was making, and again, he's made this point, pretty regularly over a period of time now, is that in addition to this inflation fight that we're engaged in, working closely together, we've also got to make our economies more productive. Sometimes that means doing difficult things. For example, the energy transformation. I mean, the government's got a big reform agenda when it comes to the energy transformation. None of that is easy. Also, we need to do the right thing when it comes to technological change, adapting, artificial intelligence and the like. And so there's a whole bunch of difficult but important things that we're doing as a government. Phil went out of his way not to point to any one particular policy or another in his contribution, but to make it clear, as I did when I spoke before him, that we need to have the capacity to invest in productivity at the same time as we get on top of inflation. But not just that. One of the things that Australia is an absolute world leader in, and it's important to these meetings here in Gandhinagar in India, is that we're providing cost of living relief at the same time as we're actually repairing our budget. Australia is a world leader in that. So we need to be able to do those things simultaneously at the same time as we get on top of inflation and make our economy more productive in the long run too. We've had a productivity challenge in our economy for some time now, a point that Phil has made, and the global economy's got a productivity challenge as well. We need to turn that around. We can't do that overnight. It requires governments to have an agenda like ours around energy and skills and technology.
Okay, and just finally, tell us about who you're meeting there. What are the main issues being discussed? Is it issues with China's economy or inflation in the Western world? And are the US inflation figures in that context encouraging?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the global economy, and the real purpose of these meetings, or one of the main purposes of these meetings from an Australian point of view, is to make sure that we understand these global developments so we can carefully calibrate our economic plan for the conditions, and that's what we have been doing and that's what we'll continue to do. The best way to understand the global economy is some parts of the global economy have fallen into recession, some have proven to be more resilient, but all of us are facing a complex combination of risks. There has been some softer data out of China in the last little while that people are very focused on here. The Americans are seeing inflation moderate in welcome ways, but they're not out of the woods yet. Nobody is. And so it's a matter of calibrating our plan to make sure we're managing the budget and the economy responsibly. We're providing that cost of living, targeted cost of living relief to take the edge off these pressures without adding to inflation at the same time as we're investing in a more productive economy into the future.